Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Quinley. Happy birthday to you. Nice hat.
Show him the hat. She made it just now.
Do you like it?
I do like it. It's nice and pointy, like what I would expect to see on the top of a Christmas tree, except cooler. What have you done so far for your birthday?
I haven't opened presents.
Haven't opened presents?
But of the things we've done, I've succeeded to get 4 balloons on top of the refrigerator.
Wow, 4 balloons.
Without them falling off.
Did you eat anything yummy?
And we ate cranberry scones. No, raspberry scones. Raspberry.
Was that
and
your
bacon.
choice? Raspberry scones? Did they have white chocolate in them too? Or just raspberry?
Dark chocolate.
Raspberry and dark chocolate.
Yum. Were they homemade or did you buy them from a bakery?
Homemade.
Of
Your mom's
course.
a good chef, isn't she? So is Mimi. That's a favorite recipe of mine. I'm jealous. Can you save one for me?
I'll try.
Or did you already eat all of them?
We only ate 4 of them. There's still a lot.
Did you eat Hayden too?
No!
Well, where is she then?
In her room, throwing a temper tantrum.
I
don't think she's going to listen.
Unfortunately, Hayden's having a really hard morning and is having a hard time loving other people more than herself. So she's in her room right now, and hopefully she'll join at some point, but she may not. So just make this a fun lesson for Quinn as long as you can. But this is real life. Sometimes things go amazing, like birthdays, and sometimes things are a bummer.
I feel that. Sometimes I throw temper tantrums. Have you ever seen me throw a temper tantrum, Quinn? Can you imagine that? What do you think I would do if I was throwing a temper tantrum? What do you do when you throw a temper tantrum? Do you put your head into a pillow and scream and then knock things off shelves?
Sometimes. I don't knock things up. Mommy, I know one time when you were like 2 and you were crying. The video on the Christmas tree, Pops told you to stop like standing on something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, ah!
I didn't like to be corrected as a 2-year-old. Not many 2-year-olds enjoy being corrected. I would reckon to say not many adults like being corrected either.
Hayden hates being corrected.
Right, you
I think most of us do. Yeah, let's learn about Belize. Oh my gosh, I have so many fun things to tell you, Quinn. I'm so excited. You're going to love it. Now, how did you pick this one for your birthday? Oh,
I don't know. I just picked it because it sounded interesting. It's so tiny.
It is really tiny. It's super small, and it's neighbors with Guatemala and Mexico, who we both learned about already. So now you get to learn about the third piece of this little triangle here. Belize.
It's not outlined. Why didn't you outline it?
It's not outlined maybe because it's not landlocked. I'm not sure. Sometimes I search it and it outlines it, and sometimes I search it and it doesn't. So today it didn't.
Oh.
But here it is, little old country, and there's not a lot of stuff in this country. It's super tiny, and look how few roads there are. You see how there's just like one yellow line that goes across the whole country from one side to the other? It has one highway that goes across the entire country, side to side, and then basically 1 or 2 that go north to south. That's it. Not a lot of stuff going on. And there's like small little towns all throughout, but mostly just small towns. And they have one city called Belize City, which is right here on the tip. And there we go, starts to load. And that's not actually where most people go. The tourists don't actually go to Belize City. They might stop there when they fly into the country, just as an initial stopping point, but then they get on a little tiny plane and they fly out to the islands. And that's why everyone likes to go to Belize, is they have these beautiful islands. And we're gonna look at all different pictures of the islands, the animals and the foods and all the things. And that's where I spent most of the time when I was there, was out on the islands of Ambergris and Kaye, or Kai, Key. I think they call it Key. I don't know, it's spelled C-A-Y-E, kind of funky. So we'll start with some views of the kiddos. As you can imagine, we've got kiddos at the beach, kiddos in the water, kiddos in their school uniforms. And we've even got kiddos out near old ruins. The old ruins are an important feature of the country that we'll talk about a little bit today, but it has quite a bit of history. In fact, it used to be owned by England, the United Kingdom, Britain. That was sort of the country that occupied Belize for a while, and they called it British Honduras. Honduras is another country sort of in that area, but that's what it was known as before it was known as Belize. Here are some of the adults. So you can see they've got folks of many different colors, all different types of skin color. So nice and diverse population. And like most countries in this region of the world, in Central America and South America, they like to do festivals. They get all kinds of colorful and they hit the drums and they dance around. And sometimes it's on the beach. They got a lot of sort of drum festivals on the beach, all kinds of good fun. Maybe they would play you happy birthday if they knew it was your birthday. I bet you they would. What language do they think they speak?
English. Says it right there.
Exactly. It's because the United Kingdom, Britain, was there for a long time. So they all learned English from them. And there's a couple other languages like Creole and a few others, but it's mostly English they speak.
Creole is like the like French, but like easyified language of French.
Yeah, that's what it was in Haiti. So Haitian Creole, sort of like a mix of French as well as Spanish and African languages and a bunch of different things. But Creole usually means it's like a mix of other languages. They've kind of taken bits and pieces and maybe they've invented some things themselves, but it's sort of like have you ever had leftovers and you mix all the leftovers into one little stew and then you eat that?
Mommy does.
A language.
They're not really leftovers, but she mixes like everything. It like when we have tacos, she just takes every single ingredient of like the rest of it that we didn't use and just dumps it on her plate, and it's like she mixes it all together and it's like a little dip. She dips chips in it.
Sounds yummy. I like that. My favorite food is stir fry, which is kind of the same concept except not leftovers. You start by mixing them all together. All right, so English is the language. One of the funny things though with the Creole is some of the words they say, they sound very much like English. So they say thank you, which means thank you, or the how you do, which means how are you doing, or good morning, which is good morning. What do you think? Should we start speaking like that? Good morning.
So they like talk English, but in a very different accent.
Well, their Creole has pieces of English. That's one of the languages that it pulls from. So there's similarities to English. So it's kind of, in Haiti, the Creole pulls mostly from French. So it's, a lot of the words that they would use would be like this, but more similar to French. Whereas here, the Creole might have words that sound similar to English. And no surprises that it is a fairly small country. It is one of the smallest. So 177 out of the 230 so countries. So they have 400,000 people, less than 500,000. So any other countries on here that you recognize that we've seen? Let's see. I don't actually think there are. St. Lucia's down here, so they're twice the size of St. Lucia, but not very big. Let's see what the next biggest one is that we've looked at. We got to scroll a lot to find the next one, it seems. Uruguay. So Uruguay is 10 times the size of Belize.
And then Panama.
Yeah, Panama. Yep, good eye. Yep, so pretty small country. And now let's talk about the fun stuff. How do you think they make their money?
Colorful.
Well, yes, their money is colorful, but how do you think they earn it as a country? How do you think the people there make money?
They do chores. No, they work.
Yep, they work. And there's two main things that they do for work. One is tourism, because everyone wants to come and see the beauty of Belize. It is tropical and it is beautiful. They've got tons of cool and interesting trees, but lots and lots of little islands and places that you can go hang out in the water, similar to Panama. So here are some of the resorts. And here's one of my favorite things that I saw. They have swing sets in the water. Look at this. How cool is that?
Taking notes while he's talking.
So they've got swing sets, they've got hammocks, they've got tables. So we literally, my friend Sam and I, we went out into the water and we sat down and we ordered a hamburger and fries, and they brought us a hamburger and fries. The waitress came walking all the way out into the water, and she held it over her head and she put it on the table there, and we just ate. And then we went and got a juice and we hung out in the hammock and drank juice. They even had a volleyball net in the middle of the water. Let's see here.
Looks so fun.
All in the water. Oh, here it is. Here's the photo. Yeah, it was just like that. It was up to your knees. So you could dive. You go all out and belly flop, but it didn't hurt that much because you weren't that high off the water. What do you think? Does that look fun or boring?
Fun.
Which would you choose? The swing set or the hammock or the table? Would you sit on the table? Or would you just put on floaties and float in the water? All of the above. So here's some more photos of things down there. They've got really, really colorful buildings, which is nice.
What's the third picture?
The third picture. This one here?
Yeah.
So this is Key Cocker. And Key Cocker, right here where you see the buildings, there's a big restaurant and a place where everyone hangs out and has juices and foods. And then there's this other island right across the water. And you can actually swim across from one side to the other side if you want to. It's not very far.
Looks like a ginormous wave coming up between them.
Yeah, so that actually used to be connected. And then I think it was an earthquake. There was either an earthquake or a really big storm that sort of washed up the middle where the island was connected. And it created this gap between the two. And the gap is about the size of your street at home. So it's like, 5 houses across. So it's not super big. Someone, if you were a good swimmer, you could swim across, or if you got in a little boat, you could go across by boat.
That's cool.
And people on these islands, they don't have cars because you don't need cars. You go all around by walking, you go by bikes, or you go by golf carts. You can rent.
Is that just on the islands?
Yeah, just on the islands. Key Cocker and Ambergris, or Ambergris. I might be saying it wrong. No one told me how to say it right. I say a lot of things wrong. So that's okay. Still learning.
He gets that from Pops.
One of my favorite things was being in a super tiny plane. Look how small this plane was. It was so little. It was Tropic Air. They had a couple airlines like this, but you could put 8 people on the plane total. So the pilot, instead of talking over an announcer, he just sat right in the front seat. It was like if mommy or daddy was driving the car and they turned around and they said, "All right, girls, time to go." It was just like that. The pilot literally sat there and he turned around and he's like, "All right, guys, we're taking off. Put on your seatbelts." And we took off. And from the flight, we were right over the water, super low. So these are some of the photos you can see of the islands from right above them.
I love being on planes.
Me too. I do a lot of time on planes. What do you like about being on planes?
It's just so like when we're actually taking off, it's like so fast. It's so fun to go so fast in the beginning, and then we just like take off and things get smaller and smaller down there, and eventually we're like above the clouds, and all we see down there is white, puffy things.
Yeah, it's super cool. I really like when like there's a sunrise or a sunset while you're on a flight, because then the whole sky is like orange or red, and you're above the clouds as the sun's like going to bed or coming up in the morning. Super cool.
I've only experienced it once, and I wasn't even above the clouds.
I see. Well, I'm sure you will have other opportunities in the future, and maybe you can even do it in Belize on one of these little planes. And if not, you can at least go out and enjoy the beaches. One of the things they do, in addition to having all these cool beaches, is they have these little floaties. So you can go out in the water and hang out on floaties like this because the water's pretty thin. So that's fun. But also you can go snorkeling. Snorkeling's a really, really big popular activity there. And it's because they actually have the second largest barrier reef in the world after Australia. So there's the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, where there's tons of coral and fish and all the things, sea turtles. But Belize actually has the second biggest. And now Belize's is the healthiest coral reef because Australia, with all the pollution and all the changes that have been happening in the world with the heat and all of this, it's actually starting to suffer. A lot of the coral are dying. So they're losing their color and they're turning white. But in Belize, that hasn't started to happen as much yet. So right now, it's actually the best place in the world to go and see coral. And when you go and see, oh, actually, first of all, let's just look at this turtle and admire its beauty. Look at that turtle. Do you ever wish you were a turtle, Quinn?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? Yeah, me too. Like, you mean like 3 or 4 times a day? And like definitely when you're going to bed, you dream about it? Or is that just me? That's just me? Okay, got it.
So serious.
She is in a serious mood. I think she's distracted knowing that she has gifts waiting for her. She's like, yeah, coral's cool, but I really want to see what's under the gift wrap. What do you think, Gwen? Is that true?
Coral.
Mm.
No.
Okay.
Are you a little
fair enough.
distracted because notes while he's doing this instead of doing it after? Do you think that's why?
Yeah, well, I want to keep track of all my favorites.
There's a lot. There's a lot of things to have as favorites. I just thought the coral was so cool. Look at how they're basically underwater plants. You probably already know this, right?
Did you already know that?
Yeah, they're underwater plants. The non-response. Did I go on mute? Look at this little like starfish looking thing. This little red one.
It looks like it's a person with long hair running.
It does. It does. Or it looks like it's like you know those like giant flimsy things they put outside gas stations where the whole body does that? It looks like one of those. Or like Gumbo, the little like green guy. Am I remembering his name right? Yeah, Gumbo green guy. Here's the dude. He reminds me of this guy. See? Did you not know what I was talking about, Rach? I don't really know about Gumbo either, but somewhere in my brain, this guy lives, and that little starfish reminded me of him. Okay, Shark Alley. This was really cool. They have this one alley where all the sharks come because all the fishermen will drop fish there. And they'll do it for the tourists too. But there's so many sharks. And I was tired from all the swimming and snorkeling. You know, my neck was tired, my arms were tired. I only swam for like 30 minutes. But my friend Sam, he kept going. He swam for like an hour, and he swam with the sharks. And look at all these people getting up real close to the sharks. They weren't even afraid. What do you think? Would you be willing to go in with the sharks like that?
Yeah, as long as you don't bother them, they won't bother you.
Exactly. You're throwing them fish, and they just want to eat the fish. They don't want to eat the human.
It's like bees.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's like most animals. As long as they don't feel threatened,
they're gonna
come after you.
It's not like mosquitoes, though. They just come after you.
Mosquitoes are mean. They have a mind of their own. Did you know that mosquitoes in some places are referred to as mossies? It's their nickname. Have you ever heard of that? Mossies. I had never heard that until last week. Apparently people call them that. Muzzies, something along those lines. Anyways, manta rays. These are kind of cool. They're like stingrays. Here's some of the fishies. Do you see Nemo anywhere? Keeping an eye out for Nemo. Whoa, look at the colors on this one.
Whoa!
It's a triggerfish. I don't know what a triggerfish is, but I want to be its friend. Wow.
Look at that triggerfish. It's beautiful.
How it glows.
It has eyelashes. They have eyelashes.
Wow. Yeah, it's like glow in the dark. Crazy. Wow, look at this one. Pretty.
What's it called?
This one's the Super Delta Beta, or Beta.
Oh yeah, beta.
Beta's probably right. This one, that's not an actual fish. That's a piece of art that looks like a fish. All right, so one of the really cool things is they have this giant blue hole. It is like the biggest hole you could ever imagine. Like the length of the hole, or the width of the hole from one side to the other is like 10 houses wide, and it sits out in the ocean all by itself. And if you go down in the hole, there's all kinds of coral like this. So people go and scuba dive there, where it's not snorkeling where you stay near the surface, but you get in all this gear. Well, that's a snorkeler, it looks like. But they'll go scuba diving, and you go down and down and down into the hole, and you find all kinds of interesting creatures.
Scuba diving is when there's like an actual air tank on your back.
Exactly. Here's someone scuba diving inside. Super
They
cool.
do that at aquariums to clean out the tanks.
That's true.
It's weird. They like actually scuba dive in fish tanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here's for perspective. Here's a boat going across the blue hole. See how little the little white boat is? And then there's another one that just left, and you can see its wake. It's a big hole, giant sinkhole. One of the biggest in the world. Oh, wow, look at this. There's like a statue all the way down at the bottom, it looks like. Is that Jesus? I think that's Jesus. It's a Jesus statue. Interesting. The other way they make money, in addition to tourism, is agriculture. Like a lot of countries,
Sugar.
a lot of its neighbors. Sugar, of course. We've talked about sugar
That
and how
one's brown
sugar is produced. See
The
brown sugar?
fourth one is brown
Oh,
sugar.
yeah. That looks yummy.
My
Do you prefer brown sugar
sticks
or white
and
sugar?
brown- That's brown sugar.
Yeah, I think I prefer brown sugar. What do you prefer?
Brown sugar.
Brown. Yeah, it's interesting.
If
I
it's
wonder if they have sugar in
mixed,
other colors.
I don't know what they really like taste like. I can't really like if they're like together mixed in with something. I can't really taste them, but
What do you
it
think about
makes-
pixie sticks?
yes.
You're a fan?
Mm.
Maybe you'll get some of these for your birthday today. Would you be happy about
I
that?
remember I got you those for Christmas.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Did I tell you my story about pixie sticks when I ripped a tooth out of my mouth with a pixie stick? Did I ever tell you this story?
Do it.
It's a true story. So it was one of the big giant plastic ones. So giant plastic pixie stick. Let's see if we can find a photo of it here. Yeah, it's really, really thick, like one of these ones. And I was maybe 11 or 12 years old, maybe 10, I don't know. And I was
I guess
at
we'll
school,
just her.
and I didn't have a scissor. I didn't have scissors, so I couldn't open it. And so I was like, I'll just open it with my mouth. And I bit on it, and I started chewing and wriggling my teeth to try and get it open. And I got it halfway open, but I couldn't get it all the way. So I was like, I'll just like put it over my mouth and rip it. And instead of me ripping off the top of the pixie stick, I ripped a tooth right out of my mouth. It wasn't even loose. I just ripped it out.
Did it hurt?
It hurt a lot. My mouth was bleeding. It was awful. And yeah, I was there in shock and also laughing at myself because of how ridiculous it was. True story. Hey, Hayden. Welcome to my pixie stick story. Today's lesson is about pixie sticks, also Belize.
I've been listening for a long time. Yeah, just been on the side right there. I didn't hear a lot of it.
Well, you can watch the recording and you can learn all of the things that you missed at the start, because that was a lot of good stuff at the start, especially the animals, which I know is your favorite. So one of the other things that they have for tourism, in addition to the beaches and the islands and the fishies, is a lot of history. So there were the Mayans. The Mayans used to live there, just like in Guatemala. You know, it's kind of the same region. And so there's a lot of Mayan structures there. And I got to go around to this one. This one was called Zunan Tunich. It's kind of cool. And you can climb up on them. So you can go up to the top and look around the forest. This one was El Castillo, which means the castle. And let's see if we can get a close in on the figures on the side of this building. Look at this. How cool is this? Not only is it a giant rock, but they carved in these sort of images to the side of it. The lost city of Zunan Tunich.
Wow.
I don't know how they did that. Like they must have had other rocks, really sharp rocks, and chiseled it. I can't even imagine. This would have taken them so long to make. It's very impressive artwork. And then this one was called Caracol. And one of the cool things with this one is you got a view over top the whole forest once you went on top of it. And actually, here's a view of it from above. So you can see it's really tucked into the forest there. So all the forest has grown up around it. And the reason it stands out like this is that different people have gone and they've excavated the land, meaning they saw a big bump in the land and they're like, in the middle of this forest, there's this giant bump. I wonder what that bump is. And they came and this was covered in trees and they started digging and they saw underneath the trees, there was this giant structure. And so they kept digging and digging and digging until they unveiled this entire civilization. And that was actually the same thing we saw with Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu hasn't always been visible like that. When they first discovered it, they just found like, what is this poop emoji doing? I have no idea what that is. That is ridiculous. That is amazing. So Machu Picchu, they had trees all over this, and they went and found it, and they started digging, and they found all that stuff. So that's the same thing that happens with these ancient structures, is they do excavation. They also have this really cool cave. I didn't get to go to this one, but people will go and they'll wade through the water, just like this, and the water glows a really pretty blue, and they go back in this cave. And one of the things that's interesting is that from a long, long time ago, hundreds and hundreds of years, there were people who passed away in this cave because they used to live there, and at some point they got sick and they didn't survive. And there's one of actually a child who many hundreds of years ago didn't survive. And usually people go in a coffin, or there's, some way they're buried, but this one just kind of got preserved in the mud. And so people will go and look at the skeleton.
Okay.
Hayden doesn't like that.
No.
Well, we'll skip on over that, and we'll look at bananas. Rachel's favorite topic. They make a lot of bananas, as you can imagine. That's sort of their culture. They grow nice and easy. They make lots of citrus fruits, actually, so like different oranges and lemons and limes, all kinds of citrus fruit. Here's some of the juices you can see. So this looks like it's a local juice company. They've got a whole bunch of different ones. I see lime, I see mango, I see grapefruit, pineapple, orange, lots of good options. They also make a lot of corn. That's really common in the region. And we talked about purple corn, right? The purple corn from Peru. Do you remember that? Yeah. They can come in all different kinds of shapes and sizes and colors. Here's some other ones. Ooh, corn wrapped in bacon. That'd be perfect for you, Quinn.
That look good.
That'll be a birthday treat for you next year. You can eat it with your scones. Some of the other things they eat, rice and beans. No surprises there. That's their most common dish. And various types of plantains and meats. They eat this thing called cochinita, which is kind of like pork with lime. They'll eat it in tacos. They eat chimole. So if you remember from Mexico, mole is like a type of sauce. So chimole is like a soup, saucy thing. They'll put different types of foods inside. And they even eat this little thing, the gibnut. It's a funky looking creature, but they'll sometimes eat this.
Not often though.
Not often. Well, I'm not sure. I didn't eat any while I was there, but this is apparently one of the things that they eat.
Now, can we go to the animals? Yes.
Animals, indeed. These are the animals of the forest. So they've got mostly water animals, but these are the ones out in the forest. So again, it's close to the Amazon, and in that region, you get all kinds of funky monkeys and crazy birds. This looks like the black howler monkey. I think it is the black howler monkey. Did you know that the black howler monkey is the loudest monkey in the world? It yells louder and longer than anyone, even your mom.
And I yell so loud and so long.
So loud. This one looks like it's more singing. What do you guys think?
Maybe it's yodeling.
Oh, it's totally yodeling. You're right. Quinn, what do you think this one's thinking?
I'm trying to yodel, but my beak's too long, so I can't.
He's like, I wish I were a black howler monkey because I'm jealous of how much he can yodel.
I also want to say pineapple.
Yeah, I want a pineapple. There you go. So my favorite thing, I think the most interesting thing I saw, I talked about the small planes. I took a flight across the country, a really, really short one, to the smallest airport I've ever been to. This is the entire airport right there. That's the airport. There were you could fit 10 people in it. And it had one runway. And the runway, in some parts, was dirt. Look at this. That's where the plane went. So it's Maya Flats Airport in the rural part of Belize. And then from there, we kind of hung out in that area for a day and then went across the border into Guatemala. But yeah, that's the one runway and then the little plane in the entire airport.
So crazy.
So that's the lesson. That's Belize. What do you think? What do you think?
Do you have a response? Yes, you have a question.
Yes.
Contemplating. Let's see. Would you rather go to the beach or the island or Belize City or the forest or the cave? Where would you most want to go?
All of it.
Today, your birthday. If you could just pick one today to be at, what would you choose?
The islands.
I thought you might. And would you go snorkeling or scuba diving?
Scuba diving.
In the Great Blue Hole? Would you go into the hole? And would you hang out on one of those little planes? And would you eat the gib nut?
That's the creature.
No, not interested in that.
No.
You can stick to your scones. And you and me, Hayden, we can eat the rice and beans and the citrus fruits.
Yeah, everything but not the beans.
Not the beans? Okay. Well, you can have the rice and the fruits.
Because they make you do something that's weird.
Oh, I see. Beans make you do something that's weird. And Quinn's smiling. I think I have an idea what you're talking about. There's a little chant about that, isn't there?
Yeah.
I like your shirt, Quinn. Have you named the birds? Or are they nameless birds that you wear?
Nameless birds. This one's my favorite.
That purple one? Why do you like it? Why is it your favorite?
I don't know. I just like it.
Favorite color or favorite style of the bird?
Color, style, and face.
Mhm.
So all of it. Look how many facts I have. Look how many facts I have.
So many facts. I guess that's what happens when you record them all in real time, huh?
But now I just have to draw them all. I don't have to write anything.
I've been very impressed by your drawings, both of you. Your mom has been sending me photos of them sometimes. They're quite cool.
Thank you.
You guys are getting really, really good. Actually, you can both draw better than I can, for sure.
I'm a
I'm not.
killer unicorn. Then draw something. I have killed you. The pink is your blood.
Y'all are out of control right now. I can fight fire with fire.
This is dabbing unicorn.
What do you think? You know dabbing?
Can you
You
kill a unicorn?
Killer unicorns? What is that? I don't know what killer unicorns
No,
is. I could
I
wear a
wouldn't
mask
type
like this.
I wouldn't type in killer unicorn. It could be scary pictures.
That could end badly. I
That's
actually
the
have
killer unicorn.
I actually have a unicorn dabbing like this on my computer. Does anyone in the house have like stickers on your computer or your books or your iPad or anything like that?
No.
We don't have that. No,
Well,
we're not.
maybe
Sticker computer.
maybe you'll get it for your birthday. No.
Oh.
And if not, I can get you one. I have one just like this. And if you like it, I'll get you one too.
I like it. I
Cool.
like it.
It's a deal. I'll get you guys both one. Quinn, your shirt reminded me of this toucan.
How? Oh yeah, because it's a bird.
Sweet. Any other thoughts, questions, things you want to share on this wonderful day, Miss 9-year-old?
No.
Okay. Well
I
then,
haven't measured myself yet.
We do need to measure you. It's true.
are you making markings on the wall for how tall you are, or where do you make markings?
We make markings every year for birthdays on that giant wood one and the brown one, and we both have our own in our room for Christmas.
What happens if you grow like taller than the house? Like if you grow taller than the ceiling, will you have to just get a new house, or like how will you continue to mark the measures?
I will just bend. I don't know, and then they can measure me.
Coincident.
I see. Cool. Well, happy birthday.